So on Shabbos, we actually started the new month of the calendar year. I had mentioned last week that Hanukkah comes at the cusp, the very end of Kislev, but starts into the new energy of Teves. So I wanted to spend just a few moments focusing on Teves. And then I was very torn because I was like, do we start the new chapter? Do we not? But I figured what we'll do is we'll do the introduction into Orchos Tzadikim, which is our new text starting in January. And this way, like, it won't be like major deep dive, but it will be an overview and a little bit of an insight into what's going on. And then we'll start together, hopefully with everybody being back and together. So Teves or Tevet, Tevet.
Spell that right.
Yeah, Teves. Does anybody any association with this month? Anything they know about this month? Anything? It's an interesting one. Okay, so first of all, when I started reading up about this month, I did not like what I was reading, so I was like, I'm not going to share stuff that I don't like. This just feels so yucky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the information that I got and kind of like put it through a little bit of a funnel. And give over the things to you that felt practical, meaningful, and uplifting. Because the truth is that the month itself, the main thing that you might know with this month that happens to be it's happening next week when we don't have class, which is actually the 10th of Teves. Whenever we're looking at a month, we want to know what's going on in the month. We're always going to look at like historically what happens. What are the big things that happen? And what happens on the 10th of Teves is actually the start of the downfall. Because it's a fast day. It's one of the biblical fast days. Well, one of the rabbinic fast days, where the siege around the city of Jerusalem had been started, and it was a start on Asara B'Teves. The siege is broken. And it's the start. It is the very start where it's not going to be completed until the destruction, until the month of Av, which is the ultimate destruction of the Holy Temple itself. The start of the downfall starts on the 10th of Teves, which means that automatically the month is a little bit, you're sensing like a little bit of a more negative energy. But, and this is what I was researching about, and we're gonna pull in the beautiful journal that Nancy gave me. But what's really beautiful about the month, and very similar to so much that we learn about Judaism, is that the part of the body that this month is associated with, or actually, I should say, it's not the part of the body; it's actually the letter of the month is the letter Ayin. It's not the body part. I take that back. It's the letter ayin, but ayin in Hebrew means eye. That's why I got confused for a second. It's not. It's the letter of the month. The letter of the month is ayin, which on a very simple level, there was very, very deep Kabbalah around this month. On a very simple level, what this is telling us is whenever we talk about the eye or like how we're going to see, we talk about vision. We talk about how are we choosing to see. Which energy are we choosing to tap into? And the truth is that the word itself, tevet, if you put in a little letter vav in the middle, it would spell tovot. Tovos means good, besurot tovot, like good news. And it's missing that letter vav. So it's almost like the good, but it's like somewhat lacking. Like there's something a little bit here. So a lot of the energy of the month, which is in our hands, is how are we going to use this energy? Are we going to try to see things as good? Or are we choosing to see things as negative? A lot of that power is in our hands. So let's actually, for those of you who have this beautiful journal, let's actually open it up to the very beginning. It makes sense in the sense that as Hanukkah is ending, we're moving into a month of a little bit more of a harsher energy. But it is also a time where we focus very much on refining ourselves, on retreating into ourselves. In next month already, we're going to see it's going to be the month of Shvat. It's the month where already all the growth that has been happening is already starting to rise up. So this month is still much more introspective. It's much more of that place inside of us. It's taking the light of Hanukkah into the dark places inside of us that need healing. Okay? So
I can't do anything but that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a little bit of a retreat for you. Retreating. So, if you think of our bodies, like I had so many moments like this past week, but like you think of like the parts of us that feel like either empty or void or like lacking in some way. And you think of like literally a meditation of like, how am I bringing in? I like to think in the terms of like gold, because gold is like just, I don't know, like just gold is so pretty. And you think of like liquid gold and it's just, I love it. So I think of like this gold energy, like that's the light. And it's like, where am I pouring it into the parts of my body that need it the most? Where am I pouring it into the places in myself that I do feel depleted, that I do feel like are lower energy, that are lower, maybe it's up here, maybe it's in my own brain space. So it's really giving light into those places. And it says that because this month is all about this hibernation energy, and it makes sense, right? This is still the time of the year. That Teves is associated with which element? It's the element of earth. Okay, so if you at all follow the four elements, we said that Kislev was the month of fire. So Teves is connected to the element of earth. It's very interesting the way that the calendar, it's a fun thing. Did I tell this to you that we did this at our Shabbaton with my campers? We divided them up into 4 different groups, and we showed them which months were each element, and then had them come up with as many connections, like how they could see all the earth months are connected, how all the water months are connected. It was absolutely fascinating. Like you have to really think deeply. You have to really start to think like every part. So hibernation energy, hold on one second. Yeah. So hibernation energy is automatically a more sluggish energy. It's the part that just makes us want to just like lie in bed, not want to move. And it totally makes sense. And that's why it's connected mostly to the element of earth. Earth comes with a sluggishness and a laziness and a tendency to just literally want to just like stay on the ground. Yes, Gail.
I'm just curious how the months divide. Are there 3 of each month?
Yeah.
And are they consecutive or is it like each?
There's
one of each element.
You mean element, not month, right?
No, well, each month.
Like it was it's
referring to so does it go?
I'm trying to think for a second. Hold on one second.
Sorry.
Tishrei, Cheshvan, Kislev. No.
Yeah, is there a pattern?
Kislev, Teves.
Oh, the elements.
I don't think there is a pattern. No, I don't think there is a pattern. It's not like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not. It's not.
1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, no.
And now I have to like write it out and see. 1 second.
You have a. I'm sorry.
You know what? After the class is over, I'll see if there is a pattern. I don't know by heart if there is a pattern, but maybe it is. Let me look afterwards and see. No. It's a great question. And it's so funny because before my husband wrote a book on the 4 elements, I never even would have thought about like the elements of the month. And now I like see the whole world in elements, and I just think of everything so differently. So this is really the hibernation energy. And when you guys think of hibernation energy, what's the power of hibernation? We had a very similar energy to Cheshvan, right? That idea, but yeah.
Restoring.
Okay, good. Yeah. Restorative, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. My son's an introvert, and when he's he's out and whatever, but then he needs to recharge. So he's got that down time where that's what this is. You're recharging for later.
Good. Beautifully said.
It's almost like a Shabbat month.
Mm-hmm. So exactly as you said it, that is exactly right. That is actually what the Zohar teaches, that the energy of this month is considered a Shabbat energy. No, it's fascinating. It's not brought down with any of the other months. The energy of the month of Teves is brought down as one of the energy, as a Shabbat energy month, which is exactly right. Now, different than Shabbat, I just want to point out, because Shabbat is all about pulling back from being able to do and just in the being. Mm-hmm. It doesn't say anything in this month about not doing. Mm-hmm. It just says that it's a restorative month. One of the prayers, it's so beautiful. I love praying by the candles, and I got this beautiful book last year that had really. It's not psalms, and it's not words of any big Talmudic sage. It's a girl just like me, just a regular average girl who took the power of the prayers and turn them into words. You know, how do you turn this? And I loved reading them and reflecting on them, and then using her prayers to turn them into my own. But on one of the nights, I think it's the seventh night, we actually talk about, it's a prayer of maximizing the power of Shabbat. So when I look in my candles on that night, I'm thinking about how am I maximizing the power of my Shabbat. And one of the prayers is actually, let me feel recharged by the time Shabbat is over. Let the energy of what Shabbat is supposed to give me actually do something to me, right? Sometimes we're just like so much in, like, we're just used to this like flow of like, you know, on and off and on and off, and it's Shabbat and it's all the. But like Shabbos is not supposed to just go through you. It's supposed to be with you. And the point is the same way that I started today's class by saying, like, we're still in Hanukkah energy. Like the light is still hot. Like we have to bring it in. Shabbos is really the same, right? It's like the reason that we smell the spices, the reason that we bring that smell with us is to aliven our senses so that now the smell comes into me. It's one of the senses that, you know, it arouses me. It's pulling the sense into my body so that it transforms, goes through me. It's in me now, right? Like breathe that in. Don't just let it come by. And so Teves is exactly that same kind of energy. And it makes sense that it's coming at the end of Hanukkah along the same lines of the light, right? It's the Shabbos energy of being able to be in this mode of taking it in with me, not just letting it pass through me. It's a very important
Like
piece.
active restorative.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Well said. Active restoration. Yes. Like I said, the word teves shares a root with the word tov, meaning good. Now, this journal, similar to the way that I would have taught it, says it in a very positive way. I have seen it said in very strong other ways that seem a little bit daunting and a little bit scary. I would prefer not to go into that. I would like to follow the script of this journal, which says, hold on to good moments to comfort and guide you this month. Like the subtle increase of sunlight, like you're saying, each day as we crawl towards the spring revival. Just around the corner will be the month of Shvat, when we will celebrate the ascension of life that brings new growth above ground. If you feel contracted or constrained this month, remember that new flourishing is ahead. So psychologically, if you look, it's December and January, but like depression rates are very high right now. Okay, time to pull out those sunlights, time to pull out as much light as we can because of what's going on. So the reminder that sometimes the hibernation is what's needed, but when you know that a brighter future is just right around the corner, it's much easier to be able to deal with that. Okay, so that's really that's that. I love some of the questions that she asks over here. I'm just going to read to you two of them. What parts of you still feel like they are in darkness, below the ground? How can you honor this time knowing that revival and the ascension of life will come soon again? So it's really, I love the way that she says, what parts of you, right? Because there are some parts of us that feel like they're already above the ground and they're sprouting and they're flourishing. And then there are other parts of us that feel like they're still very sluggish and low and they need time for hibernation. And that's okay. That's all okay. We don't have to feel like our whole selves are like ready to sprout. It's a part. So I really do love that. I love that question. Okay, this got into a little bit of deep Kabbalah, but I will just mention the way that they say it over here. So the zodiac for this month, the zodiac sign, is the Gedi. A Gedi is from the Shevet of God, but the Gedi is actually a mountain goat. Okay, and it's a Capricorn. That's the zodiac sign of this month. What she says over here. She says it's a perfect image to support you in the spiritual work of this month because the sense of this month, you're going to laugh because like last month, the sense was sleeping. So the sense of this month is actually anger. You're like, anger. So what does that mean? We're all going to walk around like raging, angry. What does that mean? So again, like we said, that because the letter of the month is ayin and it so much has to do with like how we're looking at it, what we understand over here is that the anger in this month needs to be channeled. Now, I listened to a whole podcast by Gedalia Fenster on this idea. And this is actually a very, very practical idea about this. But we'll talk about that in 1 second. What does she mean that the image of a mountain goat should help you when you're thinking about the trait of this month, which is anger?
Oh, doesn't like the goat, like they hold on to things, like what, like they can be, right? Like if it's like
Okay.
very, and it's.
That's not what she says, but that could be
Okay.
very true. I don't know.
Grazers.
Okay, they graze,
Yeah.
they climb. She describes them as they dance, they play, they jump. Like they're like, I mean, I guess you could see, yes, they're grazing, but if you've ever seen a mountain goat, I've only seen once. Has anybody ever seen?
Yeah.
I've seen one time, a mountain goat, and it was kind of like jumping around at the top of the mountain. And she says, use this imagery of this jumping goat and think about this playfulness inside of us that can be aroused, this dancing, this playfulness, this youthful energy, opening up your body to a new flow of positive emotions. And she quotes in Kohelet Rabbah in the Talmud. She says that there's a line that says that our sages teach to jump like a goat. That's the imagery, to jump like a goat. Almost like this childlike lightness that is supposed to be inspiring you. So when you're feeling, which we're going to get to in 1 second about the anger, but using this imagery of lightfulness and playfulness, okay? Just like a mountain goat can climb up difficult terrains, we can approach hard situations with the lightness of jumping and playing. She bases a lot of her stuff off of Rabbi Nachman of Breslov. That's probably why Nancy bought this for me and Shlomo. We love the Torah of Rabbi Nachman of Breslov. But he says, get into the habit of dancing. He says it should be a habitual thing. Get in the habit of dancing. Have any of you been to Israel or seen on Instagram the cars of the Nachman Jews who dance on top of them? And you think to yourself, have you lost your marbles? What are you doing? It is coming from actually very deep Torah that they were taught from this rabbi, this sage, that if you want to bring a lightness to life, dance. This is why we're hoping, Rachel and I are hoping, this is Rachel's idea, but we are really hoping to have a dance party, a women's dance party, just to bring the lightness of life, just to dance, just to be gleeful, to bring that energy into this world.
Is that what you do on Momentum?
Yeah.
We do a lot of dancing on Momentum. Yeah. I think that might be partially what inspired Rachel with this idea. Yeah. So yet to come, please God. But that is in Rachel's. We are planning that. We just have to find the right date.
Right.
So that is so if you like to dance, then when you dance, tap into this energy. And if you don't like to dance, then dance. Like turn on the music and just find yourself dancing. Do you guys like to dance?
Yeah.
Yeah. I had, I'm not going to say it's here, it's recording. I have to be so careful because I'm like, who's getting that? I know, I keep doing this. This is why I don't like recording, by the way.
It's cute.
Yes.
Well, cute. Like, I don't know if cute's the right word, but the most recent time of that we knew that the 20 living hostages were coming home. I literally like stopped in my kitchen, it's just me and my dogs as usual, and I literally just started like singing Am Yisrael, like slow, and I was like Am Yisrael, and I got faster and faster, and I was just literally dancing around my kitchen.
I love that. That's beautiful.
We're here, we're living, thank God.
Yeah.
And I never did that before.
Oh,
Break out in like Jewish dance. I think
Flash mob.
yeah, it was. It was like yes.
I think that's more than cute. I think that's more than cute.
I break out into dance all the time.
She breaks into dance. She's on the line in the supermarket. Jean is breaking down in dance. I love that. Yes.
Awesome.
It is beautiful.
Go you.
Yeah, like I have to pull them back in like even more often, but we do dance parties in our house a lot, because it totally shifts the energy.
Yeah.
It's just great, you get out the wiggles. It's
Completely.
Yeah.
Changes the energy.
Exactly.
God.
Exactly.
Levels the playing field.
Exactly. So that I thought was a very, very nice way of looking at the energy of the goat.
I love a dance party.
A dance party.
Like it's elevated.
Like butting heads because and like locking horns and like the stubbornness of a goat. Like I totally
So
direction
well,
I thought.
that's what she says, but there is a lot. Listen, there's a lot of depth around the goat. going all the way back to, like biblical stories, but the butting of the heads is definitely part of it. There is also that
Right.
idea of the anger. Have you watched
Yeah.
goats
Yeah.
butt heads? You're like shivering,
I mean,
Yeah.
They play that way too.
Right. Okay. But it has somehow turned into, for our terminology, a certain feeling of fierceness or like anger, right? Like butting heads.
And I
So
think
there
it's
is that.
important that you're letting it out.
Okay. So you know what? So that's a really good transition, because this is what.
Hold it in, it's toxic, and it's like, let it out. You'll
Right.
heal,
Right.
It's like
So that's what Gedalia Fenster, that's who I listened to his podcast. He brings down a lot of the Kabbalah from this in a very practical way. And that's actually exactly what he says. He says that in order for you to be able to get through it, you have to be able to be in it and release. And he actually talks about the same thing with anxiety. He says that when a person is feeling anxious, you can get to the highest of places once you release the anxiety. It's hard to get from the highest of places when you haven't even felt that low. And he says the same thing with anger. So the thing about, and we're going to really focus on this in Orchos Tzadikim, in the Path of the Just, we're going to see that every emotion, every character trait, it's all considered, well, I shouldn't say emotion. Every character trait is considered a midah, a character trait. But midah, as you know, we've discussed this before, midah in Hebrew comes from the Hebrew word moded, which is a measuring stick, which means it's just a matter, it doesn't mean get rid of it completely. It means it's inside of you. It's just a matter of the measurement, the dose that you need to be able to align. So anger, it doesn't say get rid, although it does say to try to be as minimally angry as possible. But it means be aware. What is this anger coming from? How can it be channeled? How do I work through it? In the beautiful parenting course that I took in the last couple of years, the first thing before you even start anything, work on any child, it's a whole work system. You have to first spend a long time getting out all of the negative feelings and emotions that you might have built up with this child onto paper. She will not let you move on to the next stage until you have literally thrown up all of the bad or any resentment or toxicity that you're holding on to until it's out there. It's exactly for this reason, right? Because otherwise what's happening is like, you're like, I got this. Flip my hair, like I got this, it's fine. But what's really going on is like it's building up inside. It's really still there. I think one of the reasons that Nancy is so phenomenal, there's many reasons Nancy is so phenomenal, but one of the things that I admire so much about Nancy is the way that she journals, because it's a way of expressing. And it's also a way you can speak of release. Exactly.
Should have read.
I tried.
You could read this morning's. Oh my goodness.
If I only had handwriting like Nancy. So that's a very important thing. So exactly like you said, Jamie, that piece of letting go of that anger is so important. Okay, and then
I think.
what did you say? Letting it out.
Yeah.
Exactly. So here's what she says about the anger piece. This month is inviting you to refine a very powerful sense, the sense of anger. The body part associated with this month is the liver. The sacred text of the Gemara teaches us, this is so interesting, that the liver is the seat of the anger. Does anybody know how to say liver in Hebrew? It's kaved. Kaved is a liver. Kaved in Hebrew means heavy, okay? The liver is the seat of the anger. So perhaps, that heaviness is connected to that word anger because it's the seat of where that emotion lives. The liver's function biologically is to filter and release what is no longer needed. And likewise, anger can be an important point of discernment. As I said before, anger is not inherently negative. It is a raw sensation of the body that can be harnessed. This month, you can explore the deeply embodied sensation of anger in your body and what patterns are associated with them. How you interrupt and direct the anger is what makes it a positive or negative influence. Once again, going back to that letter of the month, the I, how you see it, which way are you choosing it? Which direction is it going to choose?
Can you
That,
say the definition of anger?
which definition?
The one you just read.
Oh, yeah, it's not inherently negative. It is a trait, a raw sensation of the body that can be harnessed. And how you interpret it is going to be up to you. Jewish wisdom teaches that someone who is slow to anger is better than the mighty. Pirkei Avos tells us that. Someone who is slow to anger. Next time you notice anger arising, maybe instead of reacting in your usual patterns, you can pause and ask yourself, what am I feeling? Where am I feeling this anger inside of my body?
Is better than
Better.
wide sure.
Better than
Better.
it's mighty.
Better than me.
Yeah, better than the mighty. Instead of reacting in your usual patterns, right? Asking, do I feel hot? Do I feel constricted? Do I feel tight? What is this feeling? Scan your body and notice the emotional energies that are arising. Perhaps beneath the anger, there resides a deeper feeling of hurt, fear, or confusion. Allow these feelings to be fully felt. I love that paragraph so much. Okay, and then I just wanted to read this last one, and there are a couple of other beautiful questions over here. But the name Teves is connected to the word tov, good. Have you ever seen anger reveal something good in your life, and how has that unfolded? Meaning, going back to that initial thing that we were talking about, the release. It's a really fascinating question. When I ask that question right away, does anyone jump to a certain circumstance in their life where they're like, oh yeah, I remember that time that was anger and it led to something really good? Can you remember something right away? Yeah, it's a very powerful question. Oftentimes you have to let it sit for a while and think back to what it is. And remember that sometimes anger can be a very wonderful trait if used for the good. That's a separate thing. It can be used for the good. What here she's asking is, has the anger inside revealed something good? Have you seen something come about from it? So it's a really, really interesting thing. So it's to me, it's fascinating when you look at all these things, the letter, the sense, the element, the part of the body, like you see like all these things and you just see how they kind of like feed themselves, like they weave themselves together, into this picture. So yes, this month definitely has energy of the lack of the vav in the word teves. It is true. There definitely is that lack of goodness in this month as we see that the destruction did happen. But with a very big capital B, so much about this has to do with perspective that we take on. Are we looking at it as a down month, or are we looking at it as a month of rejuvenation and hibernation to get us ready for the buildup of Shvat, when the budding is already going to start, the sap is already rising up, and the next month it's already going to be blossoming. So anytime you can see, is the downfall doing anything? Is it building something? And sometimes when you're in the fog, it's hard to remember that you will get out of the fog, but just really remembering like this fog, it somehow will lift. This somehow will lift. Okay. So that's a little bit about Teves. Any comments, questions, thoughts?
When did it start?
On Shabbat.
Just started.
Yeah, just started.
So the anger from before was just random.
Maybe, I don't know. Felicia said she started dreams exactly on the new month of Kislev. Yeah, exactly. Just all random. Careful.
Can you
Yeah.
remind me which holidays and months we are fasting days for the destruction of the temple? Seems like there's a bunch.
Well, most of them are for the destruction of the temple. I can quickly go through them. There are, Tzom Gedalia is right after Yom Kippur. So Yom Kippur is not for the destruction of the temple.
Right.
Tzom Gedalia is technically not for the destruction of the temple, although it's connected to the downfall of the Jewish people because of the story that happened. But we're really commemorating this very great person named Gedalia. And then there's Asara B'Teves, which is this month. Shavasar B'Tammuz, the 17th of Tammuz, which is the hold on. I said Asara B'Teves. Asara B'Teves this Tuesday is when the siege went up. The 17th of Tammuz is when the siege is broken. And then Tisha B'Av is when the whole destruction of the temple happened. So I said the wall was broken. I think I said that the wall was broken. A week from today is when the siege went up. It was the start. Like it was that separation. It was trying to make them into their own it was trying to weaken them. That was the whole thing. And then the last fast is the fast of Esther, which will be in Adar in just a couple months. And those are the fast days.
There's 4.
There's 5.
That's the
Stop on it.
Tisha B'Av. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
Tisha B'Av.
That's usually like. It's not for the 10th.
No, that's what I said. It's not.
Yeah.
That one's for Esther. Exactly. So it's really mainly those 3. The 10th of Teves, the 17th of Tammuz, and the 9th of Av. And the most strict ones are Yom Kippur and Tisha B'Av. Anyways, those are the fast days. Okay. So that's a little bit about Teves. Let's move into a little bit of Orchos Tzadikim. We just have a few more moments together, which is perfect. And I want to read you a few things about this. Okay, so first of all, for those of you who have been studying with me for a while, you already are very familiar with the work of Musar. You understand the concept of Musar. If you have been not studying with me for a while, you probably are also aware that there is a whole approach to Torah learning that incorporates the idea of Musar, which is technically translated as rebuke. What a great word. We will be learning rebuke. But the real idea is character refinement. That is the whole idea. And because we know that in order to be the proper vessel, to be a receiver of the Torah, to act like we can be a receiver of the Torah and can give over Torah and share Torah, we can really only do that if our traits are well polished. So many of the ideas work simultaneously at the same time. And if you read texts like Pirkei Avot, Ethics of Our Fathers, you'll recognize that so many of the things that we learn in Torah, they almost have to work together with. It's hard to have one without the other. But what I actually want to read to you is a few of the ideas, like where this whole idea kind of comes from. So first of all, Maimonides, going way back in time. Yeah.
What's the name
This is called The Path of the Just, or Chot Tzadikim. This is written just an English version that I happen to have. I'm struggling. Somebody asked me for the name of the book, this and that. There's so many versions you can get for The Path of the Just. They make so many different. It's called The Path of the Just, or The Path of the Righteous. Orchos is the path, and Tzadikim is the righteous. But it's translated mostly as The Path of the Just. There's many different ones, and they go in different volumes. And I want to just read to you ones that even start before this work. Okay, so Rambam, Maimonides, okay, who's a tremendous, he is a commentator on the Torah. He writes so many different explanations on the Torah. What he says is, one who strives for perfection needs to continually bear in mind his character, weigh his actions, and analyze the quality in his soul daily. When seeing his soul drift off in its proper course, he should rush it with a remedy and not allow a bad quality to strengthen itself by repeating a bad deed. And he should place before his eyes an inferior trait and continually make an effort to heal them. Meaning, he's making a very strong pitch over here that in order to learn Torah, we have to constantly be aware of the traits that are going on. I always say, because, I coach, thank God, I coach a number of clients. And sometimes they look at me and they're like, and I'm like jumping up and down. I'm so excited. I feel like there's just a breakthrough and they're looking at me like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, this is a breakthrough. And they're like, this is not a breakthrough. Like, I'm like, what do you mean? This is awareness. You just realized awareness. That is number one. The second that you start having awareness about something, that's when growth can start. Before you have awareness, nothing can even start. The first step is awareness. So that's what he's really saying is like, start to notice, start to be aware. Can you pull it back in? Can you drift? Okay. Then we have one of the great disciples of the Musar master, Rav Yisrael Salanter. He was the Musar master. What he was most famously known for, of Yisrael Salanter, the way that this was so telling of his character, is he was walking by the very famous story. He was walking by a shoemaker's shop, and it was very, very late at night. And he popped in to the shoemaker, and he saw him working there diligently. And he looked at him and he said, "It's the middle of the night. What are you doing here? We're still working." And he said to him, "Kol zman shahaner dolek, efshar od litakein." If the candle is still lit, I can still fix. I'm by the candlelight, I can still fix. And Rabbi Yisrael Salanter started to dance. He says, "Do you hear what he just said? Do you hear what he just said?" He said, any time that the candle is lit, it's still possible to fix. And this is the mind of a Musar master. Your candle is still lit, your heart is still beating. we still have the ability to fix. So his student said, in general, I will tell you, these are translated from Hebrew, that what stood me on my feet in issues of my service to Hashem was only the study of Musar. And every day that I study Musar, my actions, my speech, and my thoughts are all better, right? So this is the goal, that we want to be more in tune and more aligned. And then finally, we have the Mishnah Brura, the actual Mishnah, the Mishnah itself, that tells us people need to set aside time to study books of Musar. He says every day, with a little or a lot, because the greater this is a very, very big idea that we need to know as a preface to all of this, because the greater the person, the greater is the Yetzer Hara. I'm going to repeat that in a second. And the antidote for the Yetzer Hara is the reproof of our sages. So you might think the holier the person, they're just completely like they're soaring above. They don't need to worry. They're just so lofty. They're so holy. But the Mishnah tells us, actually, it's just the opposite. The holier the person is, the greater the pull inside of them is going to be. Whenever you see someone holy, don't ever fool yourself and think they were just born that way. There is always, always a negative pull that somebody needs to try to rise above. It is foolish for us to think that somebody is just immune. They just rise above. It's true that there sometimes could be a little bit more of the chemical balance inside of them, or you can say like, this one was just born better, like you see, even with our children, like we see which ones are like more inclined to be like the goody two shoes and which ones very much not, right? Like you see, but do not fool yourself to think that it doesn't come. There's always a balance. There's always going to be a pull. When you see someone that's very holy, very high, there's also going to be a very big pull, which is
holy. Like when you say that, like what do you mean by that?
So
There are certain people like Baba Sali.
well, those are
Well, I mean,
okay. That's like very, very holy.
Like, are you saying, what do you
Mean man on the street.
You're like, what exactly does that mean?
Yeah. So when I think of holiness, I think of like Torah scholars and people who are learning Torah and living a very highly elevated Torah life. Some of them, Rennie is saying like the Baba Sali was like hugely, immensely great. And but that's not necessarily someone that we would relate to.
Your average holy person.
I'll tell you an example.
Right. Or
Can I tell you an example? I'm going to shut off the recording though. I'm going to tell you an example.
while you're sitting up,
They're only looking at like, you really achieve that in a